Want to participate? Fill out a form. The link is in the description below.
We're just some kids who love to read. Our minds expand with every page we feed. We're discussing our books, getting lost in the plot. We're talking about heroes, villains, and what they have got. We're learning new words, our imagination's on fire. Books are a fuel taking us higher and higher. Yeah.
Classic, fiction, non-fiction biography, adventure, mystery, so much to explore. Books bring us together and we never get bored. We're just some bookworm kids, it's true, but we don't turn into worms. That's not what books do.
We love to read before we hit the sack, and dreams of fighting dragons, it's a fact. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry. Books give us wings so that we can fly. We read about wizards, witches, and spells, and sometimes we pretend to have magic as well. Yeah. We are just some kids who love to read. Our minds expand with every page.
Welcome to Between the Pages. Today we have a special guest, Diara. She is the young talent behind her podcast's beautiful intro song. I'll let her take the stage and tell us more.
Hi, my name is Diara Kinnarkar. My hobbies are drawing, dancing, singing, and I recently started reading. I want a channel between the pages to know more about books and what people like to read. This is my first and favorite book, Grandma's Bag of Stories. It contains a lot of short stories and it teaches us about family values.
Hi Diara, welcome to Between the Pages. How are you?
I am fine, Aina. How are you?
I'm great. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Diara Kinnarkar. I'm in standard 3rd and I'm 8 years old. I go to Hiranandani Foundation School.
That's interesting. So, what book are you here with today?
I am here with Sudha Murty.
Okay, so what was the most interesting story in that book?
In this book, there was one interesting story called Ravi and the Old Man. In this book, in the story, there was a man named Ravi and there was one old man who was very thirsty. And when Ravi saw him, he immediately gave him some water to drink. That's why the old man blessed him, and I liked Ravi's kindness in that.
So, was Ravi your favorite character in that book?
Yes, he was.
I see. So, how did you feel when you were reading the book?
I felt a bit nervous or something interesting like that.
Ah, that's interesting. So, were there any parts of the book that when you read them, you were very surprised?
Um, no, these parts were not there.
Oh, okay. So, let's talk about the story you told me, the Ravi and the old man. Would you like to change anything about that story if you got the chance to?
No, I would not change anything.
Uh-huh. Uh, and was there a moral that you learned from the story?
Kindness always is rewarded.
Ah, that's super interesting. Now, from the whole book, whatever book you've, the whole stories in that book, what character would you like to meet in real life?
I would like to meet Ravi.
And what would you say to him?
I would say be kind like all times.
Uh-huh. So while reading the book, did you face challenges like you didn't know a meaning of the word or you didn't know how to pronounce it? Were there
No,
any?
the English was very simple.
I see. So would you recommend this book to others?
No, I haven't yet.
But would you want to?
I will.
So, what would you say to them? Why should they read that book?
because it is very interesting and it has stories that has moral in it.
Hmm. So, if you had the chance to give the book a different title instead of Grandma's Bag of Stories, what would you give it?
I would give it like interesting tales of stories or something.
So, have you read other books of this author?
I have read grandparents' bag of stories here.
Oh, was it more interesting than Grandma's Bag of Stories?
Yes, it
So,
has new stories.
what was your favorite story in this book?
This book I liked Rupa and one strange man. Rupa was a brave girl, and one strange man took her to his house, being her uncle, and she lived alone. That's why she thought he was her uncle, and he kidnapped her. And Rupa thought something and went into an inn, and then she wrapped him in a box, and then he gave it to the inn man, and then she went back home, and the strange man never found her again.
Wow, that's interesting. So, was this particular story funny to you?
No, it wasn't funny. It was very scary or something.
Ah, okay. So, were there any pictures in these books?
There were very few pictures here,
But what did you feel about them?
like this one.
So, what did you feel about them when you saw them in the book?
Um, I felt something like scared or nervous.
Did they help you imagine the story better?
Yes, they helped me.
Uh-huh. So, if you could step into the world of any of these characters and be one character, who would you want to be?
I would like to be Rupa because she was a very brave girl.
Wow, that's brave of you then. Okay, so were there any moments in the book that you kind of related to?
Yes, there was one grandmother who was telling the kids these stories, and it was same like my grandmother also tell me stories. So that I related.
That's so sweet. So, has your grandma has she told you these stories before, or these stories were very new to you?
These stories were new. She hadn't told me like these.
Ah, that's interesting. So, what was your favorite memory of reading these books? I mean, was there a particular
Um,
place you read that in, and that was the favorite part of reading that book, or something like that?
no, I can't find the place. But the grandmother lived in Karnataka.
Yeah. Uh, so how did you come to know about this book?
Came to know because my mother loves reading and she bought me this book on last Diwali show. So I read the author and I came to know it.
Wow, that's interesting. So, at the start, when you started reading the book, did it seem boring?
Yes, it seemed a bit boring, but later on I enjoyed it.
That happens. Has that happened to you once when you start reading other books too?
No, not too much, but I felt a bit.
Uh-huh. Okay, I see. So, just give me a second. So in the story, grandma is I mean, in the book, the grandma is telling stories to a lot of kids, right?
No, only the four cousins that were in there.
Yeah, so could you relate to any of the cousins there? I mean, because their personality has been uh like described in that thing, right? In the book.
Yes, I also have cousins. I also have two cousins. They are my sisters, and they also come to my house and listen to stories and something.
Oh, that's interesting. So, I have this little game for you. I'm gonna share my screen, and I have I have 10 questions, but you get to choose five of them. And yeah, so that's what the game is. I'll just share.
Yes, I can.
So, what number would you like to choose?
I would like to choose 2, 6, 5, and 9.
Okay. If you could change one thing from your favorite book, what would it be?
I could change the strange man into a good man
From what story?
from the Rupa and the strange man.
Okay. So, next number is five, right?
Yes,
Do you prefer comic books or regular books?
I prefer regular books.
Have you tried reading a comic before?
No, I haven't taken a comic even.
Ah, I see. But would you like to read a comic book later?
Okay, I'll try.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. If you could have any superpower from a book, which one would you want to have and how would you use it?
I would like to have a strength power and I would use it to help people and if they need anything to lift or something.
I see. That'd be very kind of you. Okay. There's two more numbers to choose.
6 and 10.
Okay. Have you ever read a book that made you feel scared or nervous? What happened in the story that gave you those feelings?
Um, I saw my friend reading a Harry Potter book and I seemed to try it, but it was very scary
Really? So, what happened in the story that gave you those feelings?
because Harry Potter was very brave, but I still feel scared and he made killed some monsters and made them scared.
But I'm sure you're very brave. In the future, I'm sure you'll be able to read them. Okay, the last question. For some reason, okay. If you could be any character from a book, who would you choose and why?
I would choose Rupa from Grandparents Bag of Stories because she is very brave and she has very intelligent thoughts.
Uh huh. Happy reading. Thank you so much. I was wondering how you got to know about this podcast.
My father told me about it. Yes, I sang the song and it was composed by my father.
Wow, that's interesting. So what did you feel when you were singing that song? How was the lyrics?
I felt a bit scared first and nervous, but then I felt more confident.
Oh my God, that's so brave of you then, right? You overcame your nervousness. And I mean, thank you so much for singing the song for our podcast. Um,
You're welcome.
so we have this ritual in our podcast where every guest writes a question for the next guest. So I have a question for you from Chinmay. He's asking, would you rather like to read a comedy story or a moral story and why?
I would like to read a moral story because it has braveness, kindness, and more many things.
And you get to learn from them, don't you?
Yes.
So, how was your experience here on the podcast?
Um, I felt confident.
That's so brave of you again. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you taking your time and joining us for the podcast.
Time to close the book, but don't worry, the stories really never end. Until our next adventure together, remember to keep your imaginations fueled, your laughter contagious, and your bookmarks handy. Until next time, it's me, Anna Lilani, closing the BTP book for this week. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.